Hello everyone, welcome to Talk Wrestling here on NoDQ.com and of course NoDQCW YouTube channel. Thank you all for watching as you do each and every week. Thank you guys very much. I want to give a quick shout out one more time to Bill Jeremio on Etsy and on Facebook at Bad Billy J Belts. The belts right here you see on the other Jeff Meacham are courtesy of him. He makes custom-made belts of the current championships in wrestling as well as your own custom-made belt for your figures. And they run about $3 a piece to $4 a piece. So hit him up on Facebook, hit him up on Etsy, and get yours today. First question today comes from Brandon Chinook on Twitter. With the passing of Balls Mahoney recently, I want to know what your favorite match was with Balls Mahoney. The easy answer, people are going to, oh, of course, because it's RVD. But you know what? Him and Rob had an unbelievable knockdown, back-and-forth match at Anarchy Rules 1999 for the World Television title at ECW. And it was a great match. And I recently watched it back on my TV title reign RVD DVD, courtesy of High Spots, of course. And it was a great match. And it was arguably Balls' best match I ever saw him in. I liked Balls Mahoney the minute I turned on ECW and saw him. I turned on ECW first in January of 1999 and was just blown away by everything I saw. Even then, when ECW was starting to not be as good as it was in 1999, they still had Taz, they still had the Dudleys, they still had Rob, they still had Balls Mahoney, they still had all these competitors who were in their prime at the time. And Rob only got better, of course, because Rob. But yeah. So my favorite match of Balls Mahoney is the one with RVD at Anarchy Rules 99 for the TV title. At Kaylin James on Twitter, a great contributor to this show as always. With Sasha and Becky having nothing on the horizon apparently, should WWE introduce a women's tag team championship? I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, Kaylin, sir. While I agree that the women's division has never been more prominent in WWE, and while they are cooking with gas right now, women cooking, I know, that was horrible. I personally believe that a women's tag team championship would be a bit overkill because you've really only got two solid teams right now on the WWE main roster. You've got Naomi and Tamina, and you've got Becky and Charlotte. Becky and Sasha. Yikes. Those two teams are really going to be cohesive enough to be a pair of units, if you will. And to have Charlotte team up with anybody right now is not going to happen. To have, the other girls lumped in with each other just for the sake of lumping is ridiculous. The most likely tag team champions would have been the Bella Twins, but you got Nikki who's hurt and Brie who's retired. So that wouldn't work. But it was a good question. I appreciate that. It's a solid question because if it continues to grow and expand the division, then we can definitely see something happen in WWE as far as the women's tag team division soon. Seahawk Brohawk on Twitter. Based on what we see in NXT, do you think Triple H will make WWE more wrestling-oriented instead of entertainment-oriented when he gets full control of the company from Mr. McMahon? Possibly. You have to remember, Vince McMahon is in ultimate control. Even if he steps away, he'll still have input. He'll still be looking over Triple H's shoulder, looking over Stephanie's shoulder, looking over Shane's shoulder if Shane is actually in control. And he'll always have his handprints on the company. So, for us to believe that it's going to completely change, everything's going to be so much better when Triple H takes over, Triple H already has significant creative input now, as does Stephanie. Vince is not the only guy. He is the final say, but he's not the only guy. You've got all three of those McMahon family members in creative control of WWE. And while it's been better since WrestleMania, it's not perfect. It hasn't been perfect in a long time. Nothing's ever really perfect. It's as good as we can expect it to be based on the situation we have in front of us. Devin Sharon, at Devin Sharon on Twitter. Why doesn't WWE use Damien Sandow? Seems like everything he did was very entertaining on and off TV. You know, I mentioned Damien on the show before Payback. I don't know why they don't use him. I think he's entertaining as hell. He's a hell of a nice guy, too. He's so talented on the mic. He's a great in-ring worker. He can do any character they want him to do. He was Idol Stevens for the longest time with Michelle McCool. You guys remember that? He was that for a while, and that was... But since then, he's been Damien Sandow, Damien Mizdow, he's been Macho Mandow, he's been all these characters that have all really connected with the audience because it's him connecting with the audience. It's him reaching out to the people and engaging them, and really drawing them in to seeing him each and every week when he was on TV. And now that he's not, it's like, what the hell? This guy's good. What are you guys doing, WWE? Hopefully this, whatever initiative is going to happen, is going to be including Damien Sandow. It's from Bradley Cheney on Twitter. If you could have one past female wrestler to return to WWE, who would it be, and who would you like her to wrestle? It's a very simple answer. Trish Stratus, wrestle for the championship. Trish was the greatest female wrestler of my generation. There's been nobody like her before. There's nobody like her since. She was the greatest. And for her to come in and compete with Charlotte and Becky and Sasha and Lana if she wrestles, and Emma and Natty and all these other girls that are currently in the roster right now would be unbelievable. Trish is that good, and she's still in that good a shape today as we speak because of that crazy yoga she does. She's awesome. I'd love to see her back for at least one more significant run, retirement or not. This is from Scotty C at Chip Fat Skit on Twitter. Jesus. Do you think a women's Money in the Bank ladder match could happen this year, and who would you like to see it if it did? Or would I like to see it? Stranger things have happened, folks. You know, we only have one male Money in the Bank ladder match now because there's only one world championship to compete for in WWE as far as the males go, the guys go. It would have to be done in a way where the girls would not risk significant injury, but if done right, they could pull off a really decent match for Money in the Bank. However, having a women's Money in the Bank contract, in my opinion, devalues the lineage of the championship if somebody were to cash in and win at the opportune time. And the guys do it. You know what? The guys are known to be treacherous and sneaky and all that stuff, and we want to look up to our women as glamorous. We want to look up to our women as idols we can look up to and be proud of. And I don't personally like the Money in the Bank for a women's match because I think that they should be earned in the ring between the two best at their peak. Not some woman who's beat down and lollygagging, tongues hanging out, about ready to die, and here comes the music, here comes the briefcase. I think that's shady. I never did like it. Let's see. Mr. Wright, at Steve Wright 301 on Twitter. Can you see Chris Jericho being a 10-time IC champion? No. Jericho being a Intercontinental champion would not work for Chris Jericho because Jericho's not going to be a full-time wrestler. He may be around for longer than usual here lately, but he's not going to be a full-time competitor. The Intercontinental champion needs to be a guy that's going to be on the show every week without fail, make the tours every week without fail, and not be having side projects. It's nothing against Chris Jericho. I love Jericho. I always have. Even WCW when he was pushed down like a with a thumb. But I like Jericho, but Jericho is a part-time now. That's what he is. He's a part-timer now. He's not going to be on the show full-time. A part-timer should not be champion. Any championship. Period. Alright, our buddy Kayfabe Candy Ass. One of our favorite people, Aaron. You recently said you're done with Raw after WrestleMania, which I was. Were there any other periods you took a break from the A show? I actually took a break from the whole main roster, except for NXT, which is not the main roster. I took a break, and it lasted a couple weeks, and then somebody convinced me to DVR Raw from Staples Center, and I watched it, and yeah, there it was. It was great, so I'm back on. Any other breaks? Not that I recall. I remember not wanting to watch it for a while, which I know Aaron feels, not wanting to watch the show, but it was his job. It was our job. We had to watch to stay current. We could talk on XMV and talk wrestling and the other shows on WDQ.com about what was going on in the world of WWE. So it was irresponsible not to watch at that point. I took this break because WrestleMania was just so underwhelming. But the last few weeks of television since then have been solid. And I'm proud of WWE for stepping up their game. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next time with more episodes of the one and only Talk Wrestling.